Hi everyone, it's Caroline here from Aussie Cards and Crafts, and I'm delighted to be back. I actually did have some problems with my phone and couldn't do any tutorials, so that's all fixed. And today, as you can see from here, I'd like to show you how to do a spinner card. I have done one previously and I made a few mistakes on this one, but basically this is a spinner card. It's a beautiful paper that I've got here, that I got locally here in South Australia. You could put a border around that, like a frame, which I haven't thought of before, so maybe I might do that with this one. But yeah, the way it's a spinner card is as you open it, you'll see that the butterfly spins. And when you're actually giving it to somebody, if you load your butterfly up by turning it around like this, putting it in the envelope, when they open it up, you will see that it spins, which is the name of the card. So what I'd like to do today is do one a bit similar to this. I made a few mistakes when I made my prototype, so hopefully I won't make them again. But yeah, let's get started and I'll show you what you need. So I'll pop that over there. Firstly, what we're using is a card. I'm just reaching behind me to find out where it's from. The card is called the Butterfly Effect, and there's a whole series of them. And it is manufactured by Reminiscence Incorporated, which is an American company. Ella and Viv Paper Company it is. Okay, so that's the card, and you can see I've cut two pieces out there already. I'm using a mirror card, and I'm using a black base card for this one. The butterfly that I'm using is the Kaisercraft large butterfly, and you'll see that it actually has the mat behind it plus the cutout of the butterfly. I'm only actually using the butterfly at this stage, and you can see that I've coloured it, and I've actually coloured it with inks and my brushes. And then what I've done is I've just put some glue over it, and I've just put a very fine clear glitter over the top just to highlight them this time. So that's the butterfly that I've used. I'm also using some circle dies. Now these ones don't have a name. I've had these for years and years and years, well before I started doing the tutorials. So I need two sizes of those, and I'll tell you the sizes when I use them. I'm also using, and once again, I don't know where this is from, but I'm using the birthday wishes. I'm going to use the happy and birthday from there, and I'm going to actually heat emboss that onto this card just here. So I'll just give you some measurements. Firstly, your first measurement is going to be your base card, and your base card is going to be 12 inches, okay, by 6 inches. And along the 12-inch side, just there, you just score at the 6-inch mark, okay, and that gives you your card base. So you then fold that over. The next piece will be your mat, and I've chosen to use a mirror card, a gold mirror card on this one, and that one is just 1/4 inch down. So this one is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. The layer is this one here, and this one is 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. So once again, it's the 1/4 inch down. So there's 1/4 inch increments on these. Now, what I need to do first is, as I said to you before, I actually have done my butterflies just here. So what I would like to do is actually glue these together. One other thing that you will need is this is actually stretchy. It doesn't have to be stretchy. It can be solid, but you need something that is quite fine that you can use as your spinner mechanism. So I'm just going to grab my mat just here, because this can get a bit messy. So what I'm going to do, because I want this to dry, I am going to glue these two together now, and I'm just going to use a normal craft glue. So I'm going to, actually I won't use that one. I'm going to use this quick grab glue. and you make sure it is totally covered with this glue. Now these, because they're die cut, they are going to be an exact match. So you glue, making sure it covers well. Then you pop this down the center, okay, because that one you want to be glued in. So leaving a pretty much the same, the top and bottom. You'll probably cut some of that off, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, so pop it in place, and then what you do is you get your top and you pop that over. Now don't forget they're die cut, so they should fit perfectly. Okay, and there you have your perfect butterfly, and when that's dry that will spin beautifully on that little axis there. There's some that's sticking up. Oh no, that's glued down. So I'll let that dry because it's much better to be dried. So take all the rubbish off, try and keep my work area clean. Okay, so next thing what we're going to do is we are going to start working on our base. So firstly, you just fold that over where you've scored it at 6 inches, score it over, fold it over where you scored it, and making sure it all lines up. Then use your bone folder to in fact I prefer this one. Okay, next we are going to pop this one on here. Now what we've got to do is we've actually got to cut an aperture out of these 3 layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very carefully put that in the right position, and just along the edges of, just down here, I'm just going to pop a little bit of tape, and once again just up the top, just so it catches. You don't want too much on there because it can show up, it can actually indent it. With this one you do exactly the same, and I would put your tape at different places, not over the top of the other one. So I'll use another piece of tape here. Okay, and another one, just making sure it's lined up properly. Another one just there. Now with my dies, I've got two different sizes, as you can see. The one that we're going to use for cutting out this aperture is going to be the biggest one. Okay, so I would prefer it a little further up the top because I want to put a happy birthday down here. So I'm going to make sure that it is lined up and in the center. So I'll grab my ruler. That's my dog coming in, if you can hear her. She doesn't like being by herself, so on, off you go. Okay, and once again, just tape that to place. And you'll notice that I've put the tape on the inside, but although you're going to use that, that's going to be at the back of the card. Okay, so I'll just tape this here, and I'll show you what I mean by the back of the card. If you have a look at this, the piece that we cut out just here actually is put on the back of the card. Okay, so what we now do is we now pop that through our die cutting machine. Now I've got an electric machine here. You don't necessarily have to have an electric one. In fact, it's basically a new acquisition of mine is the electric one, and I'm not expecting it to cut through 3 layers all at once. Okay. Right, so As you can see, the top layer has come off very easily. So we'll take the tape off of that. We will need this piece, so don't go throwing it away. And of course, this is just washi tape or a low tack tape that I'm using here. So be careful, because we do need that piece, be careful taking it off. Okay. So I'll pop that up the top. I don't need that one anymore. Oh, yes, I do. Of course I do. Now, I can take this layer off. Okay, so that can come off. Ooh, that's taken some of the... I have to glue that back down. It's taken some of the colour off. Or I might just colour that in black or somehow hide it, because that wasn't supposed to happen. Never mind, we'll leave it. So, as you can see, this hasn't cut through, but it's very, very, very easy just to make sure that you get that in the right, because it's got its own groove. And we can just put the tape back on. And run it through again. Okay, you didn't really need to see that, but it fell out the other side of the machine, and it actually has cut through both pieces here, so that's excellent. So we now know that we have got our 3 apertures right in the correct place. So I'll take that off of there. And I'll put that one there. I don't really need these, so I will pop those up there. I will very carefully, because I've messed up the first one, pop that there. And take that one off as well. And there you can see we now have our 3 apertures. Okay, now I'll probably pop something over there. I've coloured it in black so it doesn't quite stand out as much, but I'll probably pop something over that. So we know that these are, we lined them up before we put them on, so we know that they're going to fit. Now, what we need to do next is close the card up. I'll just pop those to one side, because we now need to work with this one, which is the one size down from that big one that we've just used. And it's really important to get this one centered, okay, because this is going to be at the back of the card. Right, so this time I didn't let it fall out the back, which was a good thing. Probably didn't do it any harm, but it probably didn't do it much good either. Okay. And there we have our other piece that we need. So we don't need those anymore. They can be put away. I don't need that piece. Oh, I don't need that piece. That's what we've just cut off, so that can go in the bin. Okay. Now, if we come back to this piece just here, what we now need to do is position this, and this is the way it's going to go on here. That's the way it's going to go on here. So your centerpiece in here needs to follow your design. Okay, so if we have a look, that would be around about there. So you're going to have a border around it, and it would look nice with another gold border, wouldn't it? I might do that. Okay, so I'm going to glue that down, just using an all-purpose glue. About there, and you can see that the continuation of that butterfly is going through, so that we know is in the right position. Next, what we need to do is we now need to put our butterfly on. And the best way that I have found to do this, so your butterfly is going to go in there. So what I will do is measure. Now we know that this is 6 inches across. So if we make a mark, just a pencil mark, you're not going to see it because you're going to have it covered. So if we make a mark at 3 inches, we know that that is where this has got to be. And then the top here, once again, we make a mark at 3 inches. What we then need to do is getting red tape, and this is the best way I've found to do it, is the red tape, because it really is nice and strong. Get a piece of your red tape and just put it down. That's the correct way, of course. Hope my head's not in the way. Just there. Use your bone folder to make sure that it's down nice and firmly. The top one is a little bit smaller, so I'll cut another piece off. There we go. Don't forget we've got a border around here too, so you don't want any tape or anything to show. But it can come right down to this edge here. So take off both pieces, and this is where this is why we did this first, so that it is actually dry and we can actually use it. So starting from the top, glue it, okay, and it will hold. We're going to put another piece over it in a moment once it's there, but it will hold. And then you've got to stretch this so that it sits in the middle, okay? And then you put this piece down on there. Now what I do is I get another piece of the double-sided tape. Bearing in mind this red tape, we used to call it suicide tape where I used to go training, because once it's down, it doesn't come up. Well, not without damage anyway. So, oops, come up there because, oops, you can see it's pulled everything off. I had that down too low, so I've popped that one there. I'll pop that one back up again on my top. Making sure that your butterfly is sitting nicely. Okay, so just there. Okay, there we go. Now, the next piece we need is going to be this piece here. And once again, don't forget, it is going to be absolutely lined up because we lined them up before we cut our aperture. Okay, so I'm going to use tape once again for this. Just along the bottom part and the top part where you've got that, I do tend to put a few more pieces of tape. So just as you're seeing me do it, you'll see me make sure that I cover that and that quite well with tape. Right, so I usually like to just use the bone folder to make sure the glue or the tape is actually really adhered to the piece that we're sticking. And the way I normally do it, and I'll bring our card back in, I can take this piece off now. I already lost the piece when I took when I put that piece on, so I'll take the top part off first. And because these ones are fairly high, I'll take these two off. These ones won't need to come off. I'll take those off. that one. Now it's a case of positioning our mirror card. Don't you hate this stuff? It's a case of positioning our mirror card in the right spot, bearing in mind that we've got the same aperture. So if we get the top right, we should there we go. Okay, so there we go. Now with this piece here, we now need to put our do our heat embossing on it. So use your mat, your magic mat there, just to make sure that we don't get any of the embossing powder where we shouldn't. Now I'm going to use a stamping platform here. So what I'm going to do is open it up, and you'll see I've got a grid on this. And what I'm going to do, oh goodness me, I forgot the magnets with the metal ruler, is I'm going to line this up. I've just realised I haven't got my big light on, so just bear with me. That's better. Got a bit of light on the subject now. So I'm going to line firstly the mat up in the corner, and then I am going to line this piece up with that very first. Okay. And once again, I just want a tiny piece of tape. And the reason I put the tape on is just so that it does stay in the same place. So, and I'll be very careful how I take it off. I've also got magnets here, so I'll put the magnet there and a magnet there. Now, what I need to do, the stamps that I'm using, I don't have a name for them. I did buy them locally here in South Australia about 3 years ago, and I don't even know whether they're still available. But I'm going to use the same ones that I used before. So I'm going to use birthday, and I'm going to use happy. So, and I'm going to pop my birthday one just here. Okay. And I'm going to put happy just up there. And I'm going to do this in gold to match our borders. Then what I do is I tend to, oh, this tape is driving me crazy, is tend to put that there, and then you can press it down and slowly bring it up. It does move a little bit, but don't worry about it because, oh goodness, I've just touched where I'm going to have to clean that and start it again, because where I have actually put that glue on, unfortunately, I'll just dry that off a little bit. I had my finger right through it. So, once again, using my magic pillow to make sure we don't get any of the embossing powder where we don't want to, I will ink up again. So, take that off, and that off, and our magnets off. And then what we do is we use, I'm using a gold sparkle one. Now this is very, very, very old. It was when I first started years and years and years and years ago that I bought this from a shop called Aussie Cards, I think it was, up here in Golden Grove. They haven't been around for many, many years now. Okay, that looks good. Okay. And there we go. We have Happy Birthday. It's got a bit of sparkle in it as well. And this is going to sit on there. Now, I do like the idea of having a gold border. So I think I'm going to do one. So just bear with me. I'm going to grab out some gold again. Okay, so we take our tape off again. As you can see, I've got my border there. That can go back into my scrap, as can that. I don't waste very much around here, and pop those away again. And here is my frame. So what I need to do now is place this frame around just here. Okay, and to do that, I'm just going to use a quick grab glue. Move it to where you do. Right, now what we need to do is we need to pop that onto there. So once again, any time that you're sticking card to either a glitter or a mirror board, please make sure you use tape. And there we go. So if we turn our beautiful little butterfly around a few times, and if you're going to give it to somebody, I would pre-spring it. If you're going to put it into a 6x6 envelope, pre-spring it like that. They'll open it up. You can either put a, I'll open it up so you can see how it goes, but you open it up and obviously the butterfly goes round and round and round. You can put a piece of white down here, but I would probably write in a gold pen on it. Something like that would be perfect to be able to write on. So let me just show you. That one's not working, but when they're working, the gold pens are absolutely great if you don't want to have to worry about putting. I'm not sure whether either of these are working actually. No, but anyway, it's probably because I don't use them very much. But if you've got a gold pen, you can do it. Otherwise, you can put a piece of cream or white down there just with your sentiment. Or alternatively, you could put something on the back. You could put a sentiment on the back and give yourself a chance to write on there as well. So there we have it. There is our card, and I just love it. I think it is absolutely beautiful. So I'll give it lots and lots of twists and turns there, just so it spins beautifully. And there we have our spinner card. And I'm sure anybody would be pleased. You can do it with anything. You could do it with, you know, an animal in there. I just found it easier with this because I wanted something that was asymmetrical, so it was the same both sides. Okay, so open it up, and there we go. So there we have it. So there's our spinner card. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. And by all means, please come over to our our Facebook site and join us. We're called Aussie Cards and Crafts, and there are some very, very, very talented people who post projects there. And quite often I get my inspiration from my own site, which is absolutely fantastic. So thanks for joining me. Give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing your posts on Aussie Cards and Crafts on Facebook. Thank you.